the majority of council tax debt collection processes are outdated, outmoded and cruel. They are behind the times. There are no commercial financial services firms who would be allowed to act in the way that we allow our councils to act. And it is somewhat paradoxical that this group, who do not have customers, they have constituents, are and have been for many years the worst bully boy and girl tactics for collecting debt that banks would blush at if they did the same thing. The idea that you miss one monthly payment on your council tax and within a week your council, your elected officers, is not there saying, how do we help, how do we support you, what can we do about your finances, how do we point you in the right direction, how do we enable you to rehabilitate your financial lives. It says, we want the whole year. We want the whole year. That's the way council tax debt collection practices work. And then, within another 5 weeks of that, the processes work that they can send the bailiffs in. Now, if you were a commercial firm, it would be typically 6 months before you ever got to that. In council tax debt, you're asking for the whole money within a week or two, and then within 6 weeks, the bailiffs are coming in. That is not the right way to treat constituents. And if I circle this back to the point that I started on, councils are struggling. Well, I don't believe this is the most efficient way to bring money in either. Because asking for someone to pay for a year when they can't pay for a month doesn't mean they're going to have the money or deliver the money. And certainly doesn't mean they'll have the money or deliver the money next year once you've crippled their finances and put them into a financial catastrophe. We have constantly found that the best way to deal with debts, it's the reason the breathing space on commercial debt exists, is to give people time to restructure, rehabilitate their own finances so they can get back in a position and pay you. Win for the individual, win for the economy, win for the council, because more money will come in. But the problem is twofold. Central government regulation allows council to do this. That needs to change. We need to slow this down, and we need to put a better duty of care on councils. Now, I should note, and we're going to hear later, not all councils behave this way, but most do. And a second note, I call on council leaders out there who, in my experience, when we talk about commercial debt collection practices or loan sharks, are some of those who are out there shaking their fingers about the terrible world that we live in. Well, look at your own houses first. You're hypocrites. You castigate others for behaving in a way when your councils are the worst. And this isn't me. We're going to hear from debt counselling agencies who for years have always said in the hush briefings whenever we talk about the issues that go on with debt, yeah, but it's public sector that's the worst. Public sector that is the worst in debt collection. There is a systemic problem here that is destructive to people's lives, that is destructive to council's constituents, and that needs to change. Now, a lot of that has been known. Why are we doing it? Well, because, as Helen started, there is a marriage made in hell between mental health problems and debt problems. The two are symbiotically, destructively linked. 2 million people with mental health issues are affected by these council tax problems, and they tend to be affected more quickly, more damagingly to their mental health, and the catastrophe is rapidly accelerated when you have mental health problems. That's why money and mental health is dealing with it. I'll be honest, personally I'm torn over this issue. I agree with everything. But I'm torn because I wear another hat that some of you will be aware of as well, my general day-to-day money-saving expert hat. And this is an issue for everybody. It's not just an issue for those with mental health. But it is particularly debilitating and destructive for those people who have mental health issues, which is why I'm very proud to be the chair of the charity who is targeting it, who is tackling it, and who is bringing together so many people in this room. And I hope you too will be championing this issue out there. It shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And we have to start getting rid of that little secret that councils are actually worse. and start saying, the councils are the worst. We need to shame some people into changing in the short term, and we need to try and lobby the government to change the regulations in the long term.